All right, what is going on, Ravens flock? And welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Episode number 21. Week one just concluded. A lot of exciting games, a lot of some stale games. But boss, first off, how we doing tonight?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Looking forward to the big AFC North showdown week two, and looking forward to some good action around the league in week two, beginning tonight, Thursday night. But let's circle back to week one, give our thoughts. We had a couple days to digest and put some thoughts together before we get into the main part, the meat of the show. Ravens lost a turnover battle. They were outgained in net yards, and they still had a comfortable victory. I think it was due to situational football, third downs, fourth downs, and the red zone. So we're going to have a tougher test this week. Unfortunately, got real banged up. 4 injuries, 4 starters go down, 1 game. That's going to be it's going to make the mountain harder to climb.
Yeah. Unfortunate that the Ravens just can't really seem to get out of the way of the injury bug. I don't really know what to blame, who to yell at. They already fired Steve Saunders. I just feel like this is just something they're going to have to take in stride. And kind of what we've been alluding to all off season is the goal is to peak in December and January and February. So maybe a blessing in disguise, maybe not. We'll see.
Absolutely. The way I look at it, Dobbins out for the year. Probably shaves off 5-10% of your rushing upside. He does have that elusivity to maybe break off a few more chunk plays in the vision and the balance that maybe Hill doesn't bring you and Gus doesn't bring you and Keaton Mitchell doesn't bring you. But I don't think that's going to be insurmountable by any means. We've been consistent. We think running backs are relatively replaceable and more of a dependent position depending on what's blocked for them. Speaking of what's blocked for them, Tyler Linderbaum looks like a high ankle sprain, probably out about a month. Not great, but they do have Sam Mustipher. So I don't think the drop-offs there is going to be too huge either, to be honest with you. That's also probably shaving off a little bit of that elite upside from the run game where he can get out in space and hit the second level that Mustipher can't do. But Mustipher might be able to hold up better in pass pro than Linderbaum. Ronnie Stanley's probably a bigger injury, but he didn't look too sharp. He was getting bowled most of the game before he got knocked out. So you have Pat McCary ready to step up. The big one to me is Marcus Williams with potentially a season ender with a pectoral torn pec, or can he rehab it? We don't know. Geno Stone's a decent player, but you really don't have a whole lot of difference makers in the secondary with your top 2 guys out as we speak with Marcus Williams as well as Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah, unfortunate. Stanley and Marcus Williams were both in our top 5 for most important players of the season, and to see them drop out here before a tough stretch is tough sledding. But there's a reason why this is a depth heavy team in a sense, and how the whole philosophy is see if it backs up, and see if it plays on the field. But to your point, teams kind of fear Marcus Williams over the top, and losing that fear a little bit and that range, and someone who, in my opinion, was probably going to be on pace for 5 or 6 interceptions. Sucks, but like I said, just got to take it in stride and hopefully rebound. And yeah, maybe Kyle Hamilton gets a little run at free safety.
Yeah, if you get Marcus Williams back at down the stretch, and with Humphrey healthy, and some of the young pass rushers coming on as they did in this first week, you think the defense should be pretty solid. The offensive line really struggled in week one. So remains to be seen how much of a drop-off it's going to be going from Linderbaum and Stanley to McCary and Mustipher. So we'll see. But why don't we get into this film review, Yuri, because I know you spent a lot of time putting this together. I'm excited to break it down with you. And let's get into it if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's hit it.
All right, and we should be up and going here. Ravens Way podcast film analysis, week 1 versus Texans with the all 22, and let's start here with Brandon Stevens. Walk us through.
Yeah, so watching these games are so tedious. But right here, obviously, as you see, Brandon Stevens come across to lay a nice little pop there on Robert Woods. So go back here to the beginning of the play, if you wouldn't mind, Voss.
Yep.
So go ahead and pause. So right here, we got 1, 2, 3, count them out, 3 deep. And then you have Stevens up. So Stevens is kind of like your robber, your nickel, your star. And that wasn't the only time he was lined up there. He was lined up there a few times this game, and I thought that he played really well at that spot. So obviously, as you get through the play here, the play is going to come about, I'd say, 15 yards the other way of where he's currently lined up at. And go ahead and play us through, Voss. We'll see the other angle as well. But see him just jolt right on over as soon as Stroud identifies the open target. Thought that was a really nice play from him. What do you think, Voss?
Yeah, absolutely. Click and close. Click and close.
Yeah, go ahead and let it play through. We'll see the other angle here. Yep. So nice little stick there from Brandon Stevens. Thought that was a nice play.
Absolutely. Pleasantly surprised by the way Brandon Stevens played, as well as our Darius Washington. We walked into this game with some concern about the cornerback room. Ronald Darby got the start on the offense's right side, defense's left. Thought he played pretty well too, but pretty good showing from these cornerbacks, I thought, in week 1.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I thought there's other plays where Stevens played well. And I'm not sure if I put it in here, but there was another play where he broke on the ball. Looked like he was about to take an interception, but let's go ahead and move on here to Odafe Owe.
Good game from Odafe. I thought he had 5 pressures, 3 quarterback hits, going up against Tunsil at some point. So I thought it was a very encouraging week 1.
Yeah, PFF had him charted at 7 pressures.
Oh, wow. Okay.
7 pressures and 4 quarterback hits. So right here, go ahead and hit us a pause. So they're gonna run this under center play action. You got 4-2-5. That's something else I want to highlight. The Ravens ran a lot of 4-2-5, and they were pretty dominant out of it for this game. Which is kind of like something I talked about earlier in the offseason was the 2 big boys up front, the 2 edge setters on the outside. I would have liked to see a little more edge setting from them this game. Thought they got a little sloppy in their lanes, but maybe a certain game plan that they just said, go after Stroud. Don't worry about setting the edge. He gets outside the pocket. He gets outside. So,
yep. All right, you ready to watch this rip here? So, Tunsil's routinely year after year one of the top 3-5 pass blockers in the league. So, good to see him put some good tape out against high-level competition.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to point out there on that play was it's, pause right here. Yep. So, obviously, thank you. Perfect pause. So, obviously, the ball has just been pulled out from Pierce. It's an under center play action, and I feel like Odafe Owe, the pass, probably gets a little more lost there in that whole muck of the front 7. But obviously here you see on the play, he quickly disengages and then and enforces an incompletion really, and hits Stroud. And someone that I kind of think maybe wears the same number, maybe it's that Judon led the league in quarterback hits twice before he went to New England and racked up 15.5 sacks. So I know a lot of people are almost Owe and almost this and almost that, but quarterback hits matter.
Absolutely. And then Michael Pierce here, big man, had a good game. They really bottled up Houston for the most part. Go ahead. We'll run it through once and then slow it down if you like.
There he is. So flushes Stroud out of the pocket. 350 pounds of train just moving. And it's really is impressive to see him move like that.
That lateral agility, yeah, for a man his size, and even the way he carries his weight, you don't expect to see almost like a jump cut there,
Yeah, exactly. So, thought that was a really impressive rep for him. Someone else I kind of want to highlight some of the players we talked up on the show a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Pierce was one. Elliott was one. Um, and I think that going down here to Cincinnati, a little peek ahead. Just we're gonna need those guys to play well again.
Yeah, front seven was lights out. So and well, we'll get into the Cincy in a little bit, but let's flip it over to the offensive side of the ball. If I can get there, there we go. And Zay Flowers, tremendous debut. One of the best playmaker on the team on offense in this game for sure.
Definitely. Want to go ahead and pause right here, boss? So initially the Texans are showing here. We're gonna go ahead and break out this whiteboard. So initially the Texans show single high and they rotate in the shell. So when you think about the idea of cover two, it's to put a lid on, kind of put a lid on offenses and limit things over the middle in a sense. But if you can conflict the corner on either side of cover two, sometimes you can get a hole shot. And right here on this slot fade, you kind of get the whole shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 2x1 on the right. And then we got one over here against X for quarterback. Where's this razor? No. Yeah, so like I said, you have a cover one look that rotates into two, and one of the things that I really like about this play is the fact that the Lamar finds that hole pretty quickly. So we got that. X. I might need to get a bigger
whiteboard.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm learning.
Just write smaller.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll just go ahead and cut this thing right in half, and we'll look at the left side of this. So cover two. This is usually the type of cover two. Just look at the right half of this thing. We'll see if we can get it in there. There you go. So usually cover two, we got the inside linebacker dropping in, the corner sitting in the flat, and then the safety will kind of roam that back end. Cover two means too deep. And here on this play, go ahead and play it through, Voss. Slot fade. I want everyone to watch the left. Well, I guess that would be the right boundary corner. Or left. Is that left boundary?
Here we go.
The one on Flower side.
Hold on 1 second for me. I lost my place here. What did I do now? Exit full screen. There we go. Okay, running it through right here.
Okay. So as you see on the left side, corner sits, they conflict them with the curl route, and then that safety is just a little too out there for him to recover in time. Lamar sends in a little seed.
Yep. But maybe Lamar's best throw of the game.
Well, you'll see at the end. I put in my favorite.
Okay.
I think there'll be a weekly segment, throw of the game. Lamar's best throws.
You could even see there Stanley's getting knocked back. That was pretty common throughout the game. Let's give that one more run through.
Yeah, it is a beautiful play. Zay Flowers is legit, and I'm super excited that we drafted him. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Looks like we have a play action coming up next.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so once again, a single high. This time they stay in it. Probably your basic cover three that San Fran, D'Amico Ryans, all their schematics kind of like running. he so I really like the reason why I put this in here and really like this play call is this right here. This whole move the pocket. Let's not stay under center. If the pressure is coming, um, let's get out. Let's move the pocket basically. The defense expects you to be right here. Once the ball snapped, the defense expects you to be right in that pocket. And once you move that pocket, it kind of aligns everything else and it starts to open up things. Um, so you're going to see here on the left side of the screen, well, I guess would be the original left once the first walkthrough was going. They run a seam route with Zay Flowers and a kind of fly, go, fade, whatever you want to call it, with Bateman on the outside. And basically, that safety has to choose: am I going to stay in the middle with Flowers, or am I going to shade more towards Bateman? And if Will Anderson was not here on Patrick Ricard, I think Lamar would have genuinely flung that to Bateman. Now, would have been caught? Who knows? But I'm a big believer that shot plays, and attempted shot plays down the field can stretch the defense a little bit vertically, and kind of
Absolutely.
make them back up. So,
one per quarter.
Yeah.
One per quarter. Looks like they could have slid protection the O line. They got Stanley and Simpson over here with Zach Grenard. So and they left Pat ISO'd. But good play design. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So was something I highlighted. I thought it was, like I said, I like the idea. But Ricard on Will Anderson is just kind of messes everything up. But Lamar, here goes Lamar making a positive play out of everything.
That's his trump card.
Yeah. So here, I don't know what the coaching is, but just to kind of I kind of want to use this play as like a talking point. As much as I like Charlie Kolar, and I think he's great, but them filling in for Mark Andrews wasn't sunshine and roses at all. I thought their blocking was subpar, and obviously Kolar had the drop. And, of course, they weren't involved that much. I mean, 2 targets between them. I mean, that's not a lot. But I thought blocking-wise, they could have done a better job. And you see here on this play, Isaiah Likely is lined up right over that right side defensive end, right next to the tackle. There you go. And we're going to go ahead and play this through. Just does not hit anybody on a run play.
Yeah, it's just a Chase Claypool impression.
Yeah, and the cardinal sin of run plays is you gotta hit somebody.
Find some work.
Yeah, find somebody to hit.
You could have chipped.
They just watch Zay Flowers go and block his man. So I thought likely you could have gave better effort there, and kind of the whole game. Thought his blocking was left some to be desired.
He looked rusty. He had that training camp injury. I don't know did we ever get clarification what that injury was? He missed about 2-3 weeks, didn't he?
He did. I don't remember. It probably was something with his leg.
And I think these issues with the block from the tight ends is why Ricard got a lot more PT in the second half.
Yeah, yep. And this play was in the first half, so fair point. Yep.
And here we are with the throw of the week.
Throw of the week. Slowed it down a little bit, and Lamar just right over the top of the linebacker.
Yeah, that was pretty. The one to Bateman, another whole shot to Bateman. I'm not Bateman. Beckham. The longest play of the game, actually. I think it was a 29-yard game. Longest game for either team. That was another pretty one. Let's watch this one more time. Pretty good-looking pocket there. Stanley ran his man around to 12-6. Pretty good anchors. Right over top that linebacker.
Yep. So I think that's everything there for the film watch. Anybody who's watching, go ahead and drop in the comments criticism, anything, think, add, subtract. Obviously new segment, but I think we're good. And Voss, any final thoughts here on this Texans game?
So I thought that both, as we mentioned, Ojabo came through in the clutch with the forced fumble. Clowney played well. Matabike, Travis Jones, everybody. I mean, there were a lot of penalties. Some of that's probably just sloppiness. I guess what I'm trying, and I thought Roquan and Queen just dominated the game. So that's really the big positive to take away. The negative was obviously the offense was out of sync, and the offensive line did not give Lamar a chance to really get comfortable. So that's really what they need to work on, I think, coming into this potentially crucial early season game in week 2.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Zeitler could have played a better game. I seen him get tossed around a little bit. Maybe a little bit of rust there. Offense, as a positive note, the offense did kind of push the ball downfield a little bit more in the second half, and you start to see things clicking a little bit. Now, the first half kind of was like a exhibition match almost, because they haven't played together and during actual football, and everyone's been injured at some point, so having like everybody together like that, I thought was good. Overall, I think that, like you said, offense leaves a little bit desired, especially pass blocking. I really think if we want this offense to go where it needs to be in order to make a deep run in January, they need to fix that. They need to figure out how are we going to pass block with 5 and not have to bring in Ricard every time, because that limits what you can do. It's not like Ricard runs a 4.4 and you can just bring him in there. He's 340 pounds. So
yeah, you might as well bring in Ben Cleveland or Falalele to be your 6th lineman at that point. I agree. That's really going to be the key, I think, in this first quarter of the season, trying to get the offensive line in sync, trying to find ways to get Lamar more comfortable. He used to be, maybe a little bit better dealing with pressure, and seems to be an issue for him the last couple of years. So as we transition and segue into this week 2 game, Cincinnati Ravens are 3.5-point dogs, and Ravens are banged up. Cincy's pretty healthy. Cincy had a really tough week 1. What are some of the keys you're looking at? Let's start with on the offensive side of the ball.
For the Ravens, I think that the key is going to be Mark Andrews being healthy. I think that's a big key. Him out there and playing. I think 12 personnel. 12 personnel is going to be a key to winning this game. You have Mark Andrews back who can block and catch and play as a receiver on the outside or slot. So that becomes the advantage of, okay, they have to match up with 12. They have to put an extra linebacker out there because you have 2 tight ends. How do we take advantage of having Mark Andrews who can, and tight ends aren't wide receivers, tight ends aren't wide receivers, tight ends are wide receivers. Saying it 3 times because last year everyone said tight ends are wide receivers. Just make sure that's out there. But if there was a tight end that was
Isaiah likely can't replace Hollywood Brown. Is that what you mean?
If there was, Mark Andrews would be like kind of the closest, at least to what we have. So I think that you can get a good matchup advantage off of that, and hopefully isolate Zay Flowers, isolate Andrews, have Andrews, and I kind of want Andrews almost to be used like not as a distraction piece in the middle of the field, but like the whole Andrews and Lamar connection is like built off of the precedent of like what goes on in the middle of the field between the two. So I kind of want, like, the Bengals are going to run cover 2 and they're going to run these coverages with they're really good linebackers. I want Andrews to grab the attention of those linebackers. I want these wide receivers just running clear outs right behind the linebackers, and it'll be good. It'll be a great day. That's my key. 12 personnel, run and pass out of it, and let's distract some people.
I like it. You're down 2 offensive linemen, so I'd like to see Lamar get a little bit more comfortable in the quick game. I think that's going to be an important factor throughout this stretch while Linderbaum and Stanley are out. Just that's really the key, I think, to Lamar's just improving that efficiency. He did not target the middle of the field very much at all in week one, which is uncharacteristic for him. And a lot of that is probably because his main man, his go-to man, is Andrews. Andrews has feasted on the Bengals, and even going back to his predecessor Dennis Pitta, tight ends just dominated the Bengals for a long time until Jesse Bates kind of came and became that tight end eraser in some ways. Now they're breaking in 2 new safeties. I think Mark Andrews is probably going to be the man that has to come up with maybe some explosive plays in the middle of the field, stretching that seam.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Ravens should be able to rip the seam a little bit here during this game.
Yep. So let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Joe Burrow was abysmal in the first game. T. Higgins didn't even record a catch. They were struggling, and I think they're going to be motivated to avoid their another 0-2 start like they did last year in the division. So keys on the defensive side.
Get after the quarterback. I think that's probably the biggest one. Like you said, Marcus Williams and Marlon Humphrey are out. Hopefully he gets healthy for this game. I have no idea what happened last game. He played 8 snaps, and it was very confusing, and it was like at this random point at the end of the game. But I think the key is to get after the quarterback. Is Matabuke, Travis Jones, Clowney, Owe Ojabo, and everybody else. Like this, I think the Ravens need to hit a certain number of either pressures or sacks in order for this game to kind of come out where the cornerbacks and the safety replacements don't matter as much.
Completely agree with there. The Bengals offensive line has been their Achilles heel for several years now since they drafted Burrow. Really, they have former Raven Orlando Brown Jr. playing left tackle. I think Owe can do some damage. I think he matches up pretty well. Deceptive coverages is really what defensive coordinator Mike McDonald used to rattle and confuse Joe Burrow last year. That is going to be a tough task without your 2 best coverage defenders available. This is really a game where I think the whole concept of too high and you're going to get some stud inside linebackers to roam. This is where it's really going to be tested. Can Roquan Smith earn that contract? Can Patrick Queen earn his next contract? They were fantastic against Houston. This is a different animal. This is a ball out quick, spread team. So that's really going to be the challenge because, we're going to try to contain the explosives with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins especially. They're going to have their safeties parked pretty deep, I would imagine. You're not going to have Kyle Hamilton down in the box dropping and replacing somebody else who's coming forward and that sort of thing. You need those guys on the back end because that's really the whole premise of this McDonald defense. Bend, don't break. You can't break. So I think it's going to be a really big game for the defensive coordinator. That's maybe the battle. Jonas Schaefer put out an article today on Baltimore Banner talking about how much McDonald kind of stunted Burrow last year and what his EPA was versus the Ravens versus the rest of the league, and it was very, very stark splits there. So I'd like to keep that going for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think they definitely need the safeties and keep a lid on the Bengals offense. Don't let anything go deep to Chase or Higgins. I think that's obviously the key to probably beating them from every team that's played them over the last 2 years is don't let them get sideline shots on you. But you got to beat a dead horse a little bit against them and really keep everything underneath and hopefully wrap up. That's why you pay a linebacker $100 million and give a 2nd-round pick. You have someone out there who's a secure tackler and can keep everything hopefully in check.
Especially against Chase, because his lower body is just so strong. He's so hard to bring down. But if you look at it, Stevens is a good, strong tackler. Darby had a very strong debut tackling-wise. Ardarius, for his size, is a good tackler. Gino can really fill the alley. And we know Hamilton is a sure tackler as well. So, got to get those guys on the ground. Can't let them get loose. Can't let them get loose like Chase has done to them in the past. Any prop bets that you want to advise before we do our game prediction?
For the Bengals Ravens,
Yes, sir.
I'll give the Ravens plus 3.5. I'm going to take them to cover, no problem. I think that's an easy bet to me. I'm not going to take their money line. I'll keep my homerism out of the bets. I'll let the win and loss decide itself.
So you think the hook, the half point, with the Ravens special teams advantage, that could certainly come into play. There's two bets I like. I like Mark Andrews' first touchdown at plus 900. Assuming he plays, I do think he's going to play, and I do think he's going to be heavily featured. And so, yeah, I like that one. A couple bucks, $20, $50, $1,000, whatever you want to put on it. The other one is, I mentioned last week the two-team teaser, which I advised teasing the Ravens and the over, which cashed. So I'm going to do the same here. You can get the Ravens up to 9.5 with the 6-point tease, and then you can bring the over, the total, down to 40 and go over 40. I think they clear that hurdle pretty easily with these two teams. So Ravens plus 9.5, over 40, two-team teaser is another recommendation I'd make. Game prediction.
Well, real quick, I was gonna add in one more prop bet, which was gonna be Andrews, over 70 yards, and Andrews, 2 touchdowns. I'm gonna go with 2 touchdowns floated out there.
2 touchdowns, and the over-under of Beckham's receiving yards, I believe 38.5, which is relatively low, I think, for a game like this. So that might be something.
It depends. They have Beckham played exclusively X week 1. So you don't have to trust him versus Awuzie, I would assume.
Yeah, but I think he can beat Awuzie. It's if it was 60 yards, I might say no, but 40 yards, I think is pretty doable.
Yeah.
So score prediction.
Oh boy, I don't think I'm ever going to pick the Ravens to lose. We are the eternal optimists, and we are the Purple Patrol now. So. As long as this show goes on, I don't think we'll ever pick the Ravens to lose unless our quarterback, unfortunately, is out again. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go with 24-21 Ravens. I think this game could get a little wild. We talked about it before. There could be a shootout season. Did the Ravens potentially hide some of their stuff for these divisional games and keep the goods? Open up the vault this time. Against the meaningful opponents. Who knows? But I think it's gonna be a tough, divisional game. I don't think it's gonna get too crazy, but I feel good about that. 24-21 Ravens.
You're more optimistic than I am. I'm taking Cincy. I know I'm Purple Patrol now, but doesn't mean you have to be too crazy with it. I'm going to take Cincy 27-23 is going to be my score prediction. I think if the Ravens can eliminate explosive plays and they can get Cincinnati into, down into the red zone, they could probably stop them and hold them out of the end zone. But you're missing your 2 best defensive backs and hypothetically your 2 best offensive linemen, or 2 of your 3 best at least. That's tough. I've always said if you're going to build a team to win, give me a good quarterback, a great offensive line, and a great secondary. And I think those will be the building blocks. And you're shorthanded at 2. The Bengals are at home, coming off a tough loss, and we're favorites walking into the season. So objectively, I'm going to say Cincy wins this one, but I hope that they prove me wrong.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I get it. I mean, we are down a lot of people, but like I said, I'm going to be the eternal optimist from here on out, and we ride or die, and I really am banking on the fact that the Ravens probably held the gun and the secrets close to their chest a little bit, and then here in week 2 they just start firing little rounds.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think they did, but the question is, can they execute the vaulted plays that Monken's going to pull out without some of their better guys, and with Lamar still not in sync quite yet. So time will tell, but we'll be rooting for him hard. And a defensive play or a play on special teams or a strip sack or something like that can turn the game in a dime. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens won by 2 touchdowns. But anyway, let's see. We got Thursday night football kicking off in less than half an hour. Philly at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Any storylines or predictions there?
The only two I'll take is I'll take both the overs on Hawkinson and Goddard yards. I like that. I think that both teams have weak linebackers, and I know linebackers don't matter, but in the same time, in a matchup perspective, I think that where is this thing? In a matchup perspective, both of them are going to get open, and a lot of the attention will be on the outside wide receivers: Brown, Smith, flip side, Addison, and Jefferson. I think a lot of the defense will be like this, and the Red Sea will part, and with Moses, with the staff, Hawkinson and Goddard will spread it, pause, and put up some yards.
Yeah, I like that call. Goddard was not targeted last week, which was kind of shocking. Definitely did not
That's
help.
what New England. I knew Bill Belichick loves doing that. He'll put Duggar. Duggar is probably one of the most underrated players in football, and he probably just stuck him on them all game instead of just eliminate him.
Yeah, but Sirianni said after the game he wanted to get Goddard more involved. My fantasy teams definitely agree with that sentiment. I for some reason I always end up with Goddard on like 80% of my teams 3 years running now. But I like that. I like Philly to cover the 6. I think it's going to be a relatively high-scoring affair. I do think that Jefferson and Addison can do some damage against Philly's secondary that's a little banged up right now. I think Bradbury may be out.
Yes,
And but I do think Philly's just going to pull away late. I don't think Minnesota has enough on defense to hold them down all game. And DeAndre Swift, hoping he gets some action with what's his name, Kenny Gainwell out this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go 37-23, Eagles.
Okay, I don't have a score projection necessarily, but that's about the same ballpark that I like. Primetime Cousins, so we'll see. We'll see how he does there. But Thursday night home teams, that's one of the safest bets you can make.
Yeah, the interception, anytime interception for him, Cousins has got to throw one tonight. He'll throw something.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota has a good O-line, but I think Philly's, they got some monsters. Carter looks like a beast.
But Bradbury's out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, get some pressure in his face and
yeah.
Who's the corner? Before we wrap it up, a little bit of a new segment. We're going to call it Upset of the Week. I think I hit 2 upsets last week, although I didn't have the best week, but I'm pretty sure I had Tampa, which was a better one. Anyway, not a whole lot of great options to choose from. What are you looking at this week? Upset of the week.
So I think last week I went 11-5 with my predictions on all games. On the slate, I fell asleep before cashing out the Chargers-Dolphins game. I would have pulled out a nice $120 victory. I had a 7 out of 8 money liner, and I was after the Ravens game. I was so tired. But
I told you Miami. I told you Mike McDaniel was cooking up something for Staley.
Well, my love for Justin Herbert, it took over. But this week, you got us. I guess we would be a dog. I guess you got Atlanta would be a dog.
No, Atlanta's favorite. Atlanta's laying 1.5.
What are the matches will be? I haven't really looked too far ahead.
What's that?
I guess Washington would be a dog.
Yeah, they're a dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Washington. Washington
I knew you were gonna take them. I knew it.
Washington over Denver. Yeah. I think that first game was a little bit of a learning experience, but Howell looked good. He had a lot of time to throw the ball, so now it's up to these receivers to get open.
I like that one. I was definitely considering that one. Washington has the front to bottle up Russ and Javonte Williams, and I do think Denver's defense just a tad overrated. So, I love Surtain, but other than that, nobody else really jumps out at me. The other one I considered was Seattle at Detroit. I think it could be a bounce back spot for Seattle. I was high on them before the year. I was low on Detroit before the year. Detroit coming off of that Thursday night high, taking down the champs, long layoff. But the one I set it on was Green Bay at Atlanta. Green Bay is plus 1.5. I picked them to win the division. And I'm going to stick with that. I think they match up pretty well against Atlanta, and I'm not sold on Atlanta's passing offense whatsoever. And Green Bay's defense a little underrated, so I'll take Green Bay as my upset of the week.
Yeah, I like that. I almost went with that with my first one because that's the only matchup I had off the top of my head besides us. So, I like that. I like that. Any last thoughts here, Voss? I don't have any other upsets here.
No, that's it. We're looking forward to a good game. Hopefully, the Ravens can show well and avoid further injuries. And I look forward to catching up with everybody again next Thursday.
Definitely. Yep. The only last thought I'll have is we haven't seen Lamar Jackson against Cincinnati with good wide receivers. So here we are.
Since 2020 against Cincinnati at all.
Well, yeah. But point still stands. It's double-layered. I still think that Lamar Jackson with these weapons, even if the kinks aren't out yet, these guys could open, and hopefully the ball is going that way and maybe a little bit less horizontally this game. I think that may be an employee that may have been doing that for a reason, kind of showing Cincinnati, oh, this is what we're gonna do. We don't, like I said, I'm still gonna allude to the fact that they probably hid their wallet a little bit on that last game. But anyway, appreciate everybody for joining, and we will see you guys next Thursday.